Welcome, everybody, to the Yankee season preview. We have three guys here, extremely excited to be here. I'm Chris Carrino to my across from me, to my left, Owen Kelty to my right, of course, Tucker Austin. We're absolutely elated to be here. A Yankee season or a Yankee opening day that we're going into, maybe with more headlines, stories, themes than any other Yankee opening day we've seen in a really long time. There's just an endless amount of things to talk about the Yankees, whether it was last season, the off season, all the way into now. It just seems like they encapsulate all of the storylines. And now, the Yankees go into the 2025 season. Juan Soto less, but nonetheless, a lot of optimism around the Bronx. But I just want to kind of hand it over to you guys first. First of all, Tucker, how are you doing? All Yankeed out today on this fine Tuesday.
I'm doing great. I'm so excited to be one of WFUV's Yankee beat reporters this year. Shout out to our sports manager, Lou Orlando, and Will Talon, our assistant sports manager, for giving us all the look this season with the Yankees. I'm excited. I've been excited since before the injury bug showed up, and I am still excited, I think, about the season going in now. I'm going to be at the stadium on Thursday. You guys are covering it.
Of course.
I'm going as a fan. My sister got me birthday tickets. Also,
I'll be
shout
there.
out for that.
Shout out Tucker's sister.
We will all be there. And then, of course, it's opening day.
Yeah.
It's opening day. It's finally here.
I don't know if I've ever been to a true opening day. I know I've been on opening weekend or like opening series. I don't think I've been to a true opening day before. Have you?
I've been to two. I went the 2023 season. I bought season tickets for that season.
Big
and
guy
that was the
over
year
here.
they don't make the playoffs.
That Middletown money pretty good. No?
No, it's actually the cheapest season tickets that they do sell, bleacher seats,
Fair.
12 games, whatever it was.
It could be affordable.
But I was there for the 2023 season, which was not a fun season. They didn't make the playoffs. So.
Right. It was that season
Well, the
just
first
feels
half
like a black
was
hole.
fun. The meltdown was not
so
fun.
I was there for
but
opening day that year. That was Judge coming off the 62 home runs. He homered on opening day. And then I went in like 2018 or 2019 against the Orioles when it was freezing, and Luke Voigt hit a home run. But I'm super excited for this season. Obviously, losing Juan Soto, that one hurts, but you look at the roster they have. We're going to get into it, but I'm excited. A lot of new faces on this team, a lot of returning guys, a lot of young players in the starting lineup, which is something to look forward to. Even if they have a mid-year, there's a lot of young guys on this roster. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it and just ready to get into it.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm an optimist. I feel optimistic about this season.
Confused, too.
Yeah, confused. I think that comes from just so many negative and positive themes and emotions kind of crossing over each other. A lot of negatives, things like Juan Soto, things like the World Series performance, a lot of themes that could, make a pessimist happy here. But I'll kick it over to you, Tucker. I have a lot of optimism for this season. I love the additions this team made. You obviously alluded to that. Devin Williams, Cody Bellinger. I think, where the holes were, they were filled. Max Fried also kind of in that conversation. And just in general, two guys on that World Series, starting nine that aren't even on rosters right now. A lot of things to be hopeful for as a Yankee fan. Jason Dominguez definitely at the top, around the top of that list. Tucker, there's reasons to be optimistic as a Yankee fan going into this season.
Yeah, I'm really, really happy with what we saw all spring from two of the new guys that they brought in.
Spencer Jones home run yesterday,
Well,
right?
yeah, Spencer Jones.
I know
home
that
run.
wasn't one of the two, so I would throw him out there.
The two guys I'm talking about are Cody Bellinger and Paul Goldschmidt.
Yeah.
Because coming in, we knew that the Yankees were expecting production out of them in the place of Juan Soto. They're going to bat in the top half of the order. They're basically moneyballing to try and recreate Juan Soto with other bats, which I love because not only does that, it helps the payroll, of course. Not having to pay Juan Soto is huge, but it also gives way more depth. Juan Soto is one man at the end of the day, and Cody Bellinger and Paul Goldschmidt are two. So they're two not just as dangerous bats, but maybe combined they give the same amount of danger. And Cody Bellinger is going to be able to protect Aaron Judge, or not protect Aaron Judge, sort of like Aaron Judge protecting him, because I think the way it's going to go is Wells batting first, which a Yankee catcher has never batted leadoff in the regular season. That's going to change on Thursday.
Right.
2-hole is Judge, going back into his normal spot from before the Soto days. But then Bellinger at 3, and assumedly Goldschmidt in the 4-hole, because they had great springs. Bellinger specifically, I thought he looked really good in the outfield and was really simplifying his approach at the plate, just kind of slapping the ball around, looking for base hits. Like, as a lefty playing for the Yankees, there's a chance that you can fall into a tendency of trying to reach that short porch and right and just trying to lift the ball a lot. But Cody Bellinger was like a very professional hitter all spring, which is
Very.
exactly what you expect out of him.
Professional is a good word.
And
yeah.
he looks so good in pinstripes.
very
Just so natural.
Very similar to how I felt about Jazz when that acquisition was made as well. I want to make a point about Goldschmidt because you brought him up. I was looking at I think it was a graphic posted around a week or two ago where it was every Yankee first baseman on opening day the last 10 or 15 years. This standard at first base, from the Yankee fan perspective, Yankee fans have gotten used to a very low standard at first base, almost to a point where we don't even realize it. I have the list up right here. It's last 3 years of Rizzo. Rizzo's 2022 was fantastic, but
after the concussion, he
really
was
underwhelming
Yeah.
after that. And then, Jay Bruce in 2021.
That
Luke,
was
Shout out Jay
definitely
Bruce.
Luke Voigt in 2020, which, not a lot of
That's
longevity
good
there,
to
but a
hear.
hell of a player for that season. And then Bird for 2 years with Austin sandwiched in the middle. That's a lot of young guys that didn't really get off the ground. And then Teixeira from 16 all the way to 2010 with a year in between a Kevin Youkilis in 2013. It just feels like Yankee fans have gotten used to such a subpar amount of play, specifically on the offensive side of the ball at first base. I think Goldschmidt not only outkicks that expectation, but might surprise some Yankee fans and show that we could actually get some production. I say we, the Yankees could get some production down at first base, offensively, which Yankee fans haven't been used to in almost a decade.
I'm looking for the surprise because there's a reason why when I went to St. Louis this year with the women's basketball team, I came back with a St. Louis Cardinals City Connect jersey for Goldschmidt.
Right.
A, it was on sale, 70% off because he is a
Right.
Yankee now.
Clearance.
But B, because I had a feeling before this spring training started that Paul Goldschmidt was going to make a bigger impact than people are expecting out of him. And, I mean, based on this spring, I think we can expect him to have some thump left in that bat. He's getting old. He's getting up there. There's no question about it. It's going to be his age 38 season this year once he turns 38. So definitely near the end of his career. But this is a guy who won league MVP in the National League as recently. When was it? I think it was
2022.
22. Yeah.
So 2 years ago.
He's been consistently an all-star for a decade.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't expect that to completely dead stop. Maybe a taper off. But again, the Yankees aren't looking for totally solid, like above average numbers out of Goldschmidt because they also have Bellinger. So like Bellinger and Goldschmidt will be able to sort of take the pressure off of each other, especially hitting back-to-back in the lineup. Say Cody Bellinger goes down on 3 strikes, then Goldschmidt comes up and like smacks a double into right center. You're going to forget about the fact that Cody Bellinger just struck out.
Right.
So they'll be able to protect each other a little bit in the lineup, and they'll be able to support each other. I'm expecting Paul Goldschmidt to knock Cody Bellinger in a ton this year.
Yeah, and and I'm gonna get you involved here, Owen. To stray away from offense slightly, do you have an offensive point?
Yeah, I was just
Yeah.
going to say when you look at the Yankees first baseman production, I don't think a Yankee first baseman homered from might have been like late July for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
And I think the last time a Yankee first baseman homered in a regular season game until the playoffs, I think Rizzo had 1 in the playoffs maybe, was the Ben Rice 3-homer game.
Right.
So the
In
production
Baltimore, right?
was nothing.
Yeah.
So when you look at what Goldschmidt's going to bring to them, I mean, he's not as what he used to be. He's not going to be the MVP guy, but it's still going to be better than what they've had. Plus, if you look at the offensive things that they brought in, 1-year deals, cheap contracts. Bellinger's on a cheap-ish deal. Cubs took some of that money. So you can't hate on the guys that they brought in because they're not either going to be here a long time or they're not expensive options that – because there weren't a lot of good bats out there this offseason.
And, whether, there's a hell of a player in Japan right now who's going to be in the free agent pool next year, and also Vlad Jr. is going to be in the free agent pool next year. Not a bad, if you're going to call it 1-year rental, Paul Goldschmidt. Now, kind of drifting our attention away from the offense slightly to show just how crazy this Yankee offseason and just season has been, and we're barely at opening day yet. Garrett Cole goes down. Tommy John, he's not going to be in the Yankee pinstripes this entire season. Max Fried is an addition in the offseason. So, obviously some subtraction there, but some addition as well. This Yankee rotation last year, it was weird. It was underperforming in places like Nestor and places like Stroman. Nestor a little bit better. But, a guy like Luis Gil can go win the Rookie of the Year. I'd be curious to see now, especially without the boss, the head honcho, and Garrett Cole, what this rotation is going to look like. I'm more optimistic than others, similarly about, the general idea of this Yankee team. But between Stroman, between, the other arms in this starting rotation, I'm confident at least 3 or 4 of those names are going to stick out and, put themselves head and shoulders above the rest.
For the rotation right now, I don't know how optimistic I am with Rodon, Fried, Stroman, and then it's Carrasco.
It's strong.
It's
and-
Warren,
and
then
Gil.
Carrasco.
Warren and Carrasco.
is
And I
the
think, though,
rotation.
if you look overall, though, on this season, when you look at Luis Gil is going to be back and Clark Schmidt is going to be back, then you can be really optimistic about this rotation because then it gets deeper, and then you have Stroman, and if Carrasco can give you anything, then you have a really strong rotation towards the end of the year.
I don't know a stronger rotation. I don't know a rotation in the MLB where you could lose arguably your 2 best pitchers and it be this strong.
No, I mean, if
I
you look
mean,
at what it would have been, though,
Rodon,
if no one got
Fried.
hurt, if
I
it would
know.
have been Cole,
I know.
Fried, Rodon, Gil, and Schmidt, like that would have been the number 1 rotation in the MLB. But unfortunately, I mean, Luis Gil's out, I believe, until it was 2 months of the year. He'll be out the first 2.
Yeah, I think we're looking at like June, maybe
Yeah.
late May. If
And
we're
then,
lucky.
and then Clark Schmidt is just not hurt right now, but he's got to work up his pitch count. So
yeah.
they're going to need a lot from – if Stroman can give what he gave in the first half last year, where he was a good pitcher in the first half, it was really those last 10 starts where he kind of fell off a cliff. If he can give that till the All-Star break this year, I think this can be a really good rotation.
And similarly to the starting rotation in the bullpen, lose a guy like Clay Holmes, he goes across town.
Starting pitching now.
Similarly to Juan Soto, who we keep dancing around. We'll talk about him in a second. But you bring in somebody like Devin Williams. Clay Holmes, a failed closer, didn't necessarily fill the role or niche that the Yankees wanted him to. They brought in someone who they think can fill that role, and paired up with a guy like Weaver. I really like that, especially bottom half, the top higher inning part of the Yankee rotation, where if the Yankees go into a game with an 8th inning with a lead, especially this season with Devin and Weaver, I'm feeling as confident as I've ever felt in the Yankee bullpen, I think.
Early in the season, I think the Yankees are going to have trouble bridging the gap between the starter and that two-headed monster in the bullpen between Weaver and Devin Williams because of that injury bug that we've been talking about. The Yankees are waiting on several relievers that are going to come back as the season progresses. Jonathan Loaizaga is one of them. He only played 3 games last year and 17 games in 2023. He's only played 20 games in the last 2 seasons. Yeah. He's been throwing off a mound since early March, though.
Guy dominates in MLB The Show.
So,
what a sinker.
Yeah, we're probably looking at a return for him soon. Ian Hamilton dealing with an infection now. He's going to be on the IL to start the season, but that's another guy who's going to come back and infuse the bullpen. And then Scott Efros. He only played 3 games last year, but the Yankees have liked this guy for a bit.
Funky little follow-through. He's almost like a side armor, right?
Yeah, a little bit. He strained his hamstring this year during spring training, so it might be a bit longer. Yeah, it's going to be a longer return for him. I think the order we'll get them back is probably Loaizaga, Hamilton, Efros.
Who's the most important there?
Probably Ian Hamilton, based on what we saw from him at his healthiest last season, but arguably Jonathan Loaizaga too,
at the highest
because
ceiling, but his health is always going to be.
His health has been such an issue for the last 2 years. I just need a full season out of Loaizaga before I can start to really trust him. But yeah, I mean the bullpen is going to be a little light in the start of the season. I love the Ryan Yarbrough scoop.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why he was loose, but scooping him for the bullpen is massive.
And not an acquisition that's, very Yankees. You wouldn't see that. I feel like you wouldn't see that acquisition in other years.
Especially he's a Rays guy. He used to kill the Yankees when he was on the Rays. But
no, this is a 33-year-old reliever who was a Yankee killer. Like, arguably the Yankees would just let him go. But
and for the record, Yankee killers historically suck on the Yankees.
Yeah.
Like Andrew Benintendi, are you serious?
He was all right until his handmade exploded. So
yeah. Mark Leiter Jr. did come back, though, and he's going to be back for opening day. There was a question of whether or not he would make it back, but now he is officially cleared, so he'll be in the bullpen. You got guys like Tim Hill coming back.
I like Leiter Jr.
Kirk Cousins' cousin, Jake Cousins.
Yes, Jake Cousins.
Mark Leiter Jr. looks like my roommate, Matt. Shout out, Matt.
He's also likely going to start the season on the injured list, but he's another one of those guys who, if he comes back like a couple of months into the season,
he got a save opportunity in the World Series.
That bullpen.
It's like, wow.
It seems like it's always been the bullpen for the last 2
the
or
craziest
3 years. The bullpen's been the problem, but by the All-Star break, I think the bullpen should be at least in a place where the Yankees can figure out whether or not they need to buy or sell relievers at the trade deadline.
And the thing, the way you framed it, Owen, where it's like thinking about the World Series, the thing that is craziest to me is like Verdugo and Rizzo. Like
Verdugo, though, him
unless
not
they're
getting signed is kind of crazy.
Unless they're being picky and choosy, like you're telling me, like not even the White Sox want those guys, and the Yankees started them for every World Series game.
I think it's kind
And I
of
can
crazy.
pivot-
that
Not
it's
even the
like-
Rockies, who might send their spring training MVP back down to AAA.
Is it possible to be a good baseball team as the Rockies? Like with all the
They're overshadowed by the A's and the White Sox, but overall they might be worse.
name 2
Yeah.
Rockies pitchers in history.
Ubaldo Jimenez.
I said 2 on per. I said 2 for a reason. Jimenez
Herman
was,
Marquez.
Yeah, it's him. I couldn't remember. his
who
name.
is what year? What
Herman
decade?
Marquez
Right
was from
now.
last year. Ubaldo
Oh.
Jimenez from ages ago.
Yeah,
But we
I
can
mean,
cut this
Rock-
out.
That's the point. That's the point I'm making, though, is
Yeah.
that there's
Yeah.
it's the
They
probably
don't
the
even want Verdugo.
and also pulled live series Paul Skeens on the show this morning. Just want to get that out there. But just to kind of pivot back to the Yankees and to pivot to the conversation I was just having, left field Verdugo was there. Now Jason Dominguez is there. Jason Dominguez, I think, is as pivotal for this team as anything this season. If that guy goes, this team's going to be really good. If that guy doesn't go and he really struggles, this team could really struggle.
Yeah, he's
They
definitely
do
the
have
most
Trent
important
Grisham,
thing.
though. They have Trent Grisham behind him to
Come
fill
on.
Trent
that
Grisham
space
will probably
a
start
little
on
bit.
opening day.
You think?
They'll put I think opening day Judge will be at DH,
Ooh.
and that they'll start Grisham in center, Dominguez
No Rice.
in left.
Rice, baby.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know.
Rice out of the
They-
lineup
Rice should
for
DH.
opening
Rice
day?
should DH opening day, in
Boone,
my
Boone
opinion.
today said something about Rice is going to make the roster, but they don't know if he'll be in the lineup because they're still looking for another batter.
He
He
might
should be the DH.
I mean, based on the spring training that he had, I would like to see him at DH.
And why
I
not
think it'd be
Aaron
nice
in
to
the-
see him in the lineup all the time.
Captain doesn't want to play the field.
I don't
It's
know
a
the
situation.
the last couple of games of spring training where they've been running the opening day starting lineup. It's been Judge at DH with Grisham in center field.
Oh.
Which I think would be interesting.
Does he play a better center field? No.
Grisham?
Yeah.
Then
Aaron Judge?
well, Judge isn't the center fielder anymore.
But right. But like, why wouldn't he be playing right field then?
I don't know. They always love to put Judge at DH.
You're not the right
reps.
person to be asking these questions. Aaron Boone should probably be asking these questions
Yeah,
too.
I mean, I
Um,
don't know the makings of what goes
Yeah.
behind their
And that's-
decisions.
And that's a further theme I wanted to go into as well. Yeah, Boone gets the extension. I think that was kind of inevitable with the World Series run. I still have zero trust really in Aaron Boone. A lot of things when I don't understand them, when I'm like, Aaron, I don't get that. Like I don't understand this managerial move. More times than not, it goes negative. A lot of the time, it's not like, what was Aaron doing? Oh, that was great. Like I haven't had that feeling a lot with Aaron Boone. Say if I'm wrong.
I
This
don't
is
think
a
he's a bad
team,
manager.
regardless of the path, because I know there's been constant arguments about the fact that the Yankees had an easy path to the World Series
Still
last
gonna
year.
be easy this
It's
year.
not true. But
They
it's also not
they
true.
still went to the World Series. Need I remind you that Aaron Boone took the Yankees to 100-win seasons in his first 3 years as the manager?
Yeah, Girardi's roster. It's fine.
It
2019,
doesn't
though, they
matter.
were
They
so
still had to
injured,
win the
he
games.
still
He
win.
still had to make the lineup every day. I don't
You think he's making
understand.
the lineup every day?
I don't understand. Yes, maybe with some suggestions from upstairs, but every
Making a
manager,
lot of suggestions.
every manager in baseball gets suggestions from upstairs now. It's what the game is now. People are acting like Aaron Boone is a puppet that just mouths whatever upstairs
So
and whatever
firm-
Hal Steinbrenner says.
Firm Boone defender.
He's firm
I-
defender here.
I am defending Boone against the infinite onslaught of Yankee fans that just constantly berate him regardless of the success of the team. He is not an incompetent manager. Aaron Boone,
I don't think me or Owen said he was.
he's
an
a
incompetent
baseball
manager.
guy. He knows what he's
I
doing.
feel like you were in your
You're-
head implying that maybe.
Yeah,
No, I'm
you're
not-
a Boone, just
No,
a
but that's
Boone
what- no, that's
defender
what- that's
He's
right
what
here.
not.
everybody's-
He's not an awful manager. It's
No,
like, yeah, I don't know. Me
think,
or
I
Owen
don't think
said
he's
that.
awful. I think he's a good manager, but like, a lot
so then
of
what?
A lot
If you
of
think
this-
he's a good manager, then what?
I think a
I
lot.
think
why,
he's a-
why shouldn't he be the manager of the Yankees?
I think
Because
he's a
that's
g-
what everyone keeps
I think
saying.
he's a good
It's-
manager. This team needs a great manager to win the World Series.
The Nestor Cortez
What?
decision
What?
will always,
What?
I'll
What?
always lose sleep over that decision. Not going
Yeah,
with Tim Hill.
that was dumb. There's a lot of dumb stuff. Like he's not
Not
in
starting
defense.
Jason
He's
Dominguez over-
he's very easy to pick. Like if you there's things to go at. There's
That's
not,
the thing. He's easy to pick on, but that doesn't mean you should be like picking on him for
But you're
stuff
saying that
that's
for the
easy.
sake of his like feelings. If they're valid,
It's
then
not for the sake of his feelings. How are you supposed to successfully manage a team when everyone is preying on your downfall.
I don't think any Yankee fan wants Boone to not succeed.
I think a lot of Yankee fans want
no,
Boone not
no,
to
it's
succeed
not
because
true.
if he doesn't
No, it's not
succeed,
true.
then they can get rid of him.
No, and if he doesn't succeed, that means the Yankees don't succeed. And that's so backwards. It doesn't
really
make any
no
sense.
better option out
There's
there.
no
so
Yankee fan out there right now that's like, I want to see Boone tank this 2025 season so that he gets fired. I want to see. I would go through 6 months of watching bad Yankee baseball just because I don't want Boone to be the manager anymore. There's not one Yankee fan out there that's saying that. There's just not.
I just want Aaron Boone. Like, obviously, he's had time. He has had time. It's World Series or bust this year. That it is what it is. They went to the World Series last year. No Garrett Cole, but you add Max Fried. There's your ace for the season, rental ace. So,
and I still think there's a
if
move
they
at
don't,
the deadline.
if they don't at least
Still,
go
they
back,
also got the money back from the Garrett Cole contract.
if they don't
so
at
there
least
is-
go back to
there's-
the World Series, that's a problem. But, like, I'm trying to think of the scenarios in which, like, Aaron Boone's job would actually be on the line this season.
I don't know. There's nothing unless they miss the playoffs. He'll always. Be
or he
back.
does something crazy.
What about
What
about like
what would that entail? Do you think?
what
for,
about ALDS?
ALDS exit. It depends. I think it'll always go.
They
back
can
to
miss the
how
playoffs. He still has a job.
It's like
That's
Cashman, though.
shocking.
They're
I
both
don't think
lifers
that's the case
now.
at all.
Because it would be the biggest.
Think about what it took for Girardi to lose his job. Was players like the players have to turn on him.
It would, and I don't even know if that's true.
That was the whole Gary Sanchez thing where like
I
Gary didn't like
guess.
him and Judge
Okay.
was like,
I don't believe any of that. I'm a Girardi defender. So
I'm a
I
Girardi defender also. I don't think they should fire him, but I
Um,
think that was.
I lost my train of thought because you were just speaking
I
nonsense.
don't know.
That was
I
not-
just don't like. I just don't think Aaron Boone is as much of a moron as
I never know.
Again,
so many
Again, I
Yankee
think
fans.
a lot of the
He's
stuff
getting
he's
lost.
thinking and he's
He is.
projecting out because we didn't say. I don't think either of us tested how intellectually smart he may be.
I think he's a great baseball mind, but I think a lot of
no, but the
decisions he makes
doubts
sometimes
come
are-
from the doubts come from the camp
Yes.
within Yankee fandom
Yes.
that Boone is a moron.
If
So
I-
you can't
yes.
espouse doubts about the manager without also having that attached to it.
But if,
So you can't just say, "Oh, he's a great manager,"
But if
or
he
no,
ca- if
or
he-
he's like what you guys have been saying. Because
He's
like,
good.
I'll quote you guys: "He's a good manager." Why shouldn't a team with a good manager be able to win the World Series? Like
that's
a good,
question.
a
I
good,
don't- do you think
a
Dave
good
Robertson's
manager is a good manager?
Do I think Dave Robinson's a good manager?
What is a great
I think
manager?
Dave
Dusty
Robinson's-
Baker?
I think Dave Robinson's a great
Like-
example of what Tucker's saying. If you could have a good manager and win the World Series, you just have to have an all-star team out
You
there.
have to win despite the manager sometimes.
Yes, that's true.
Like the Yankees would have won that World Series despite a lot of Aaron Boone's decisions.
But that's also.
But then
'cause
also
that's
Aaron
not.
Judge and all that. Other
And
stuff
he
that
helped.
comes into
Boone
it.
helped too.
He did make a
didn't-
lot of good
He wasn't a
decisions,
net. That's the thing. I think Tucker's thinking that we're saying he's a net negative. He's not
No,
a net
he's just a
negative.
net
I'm
even.
saying yes, or maybe he's a net positive. What I'm saying is there's countless guys out there who are more of a net positive for this
I
Yankee-
think
could
he-
be more of a net positive for this Yankee team because it's not even about X's and O's things like that. I just don't think. I
The
just think there's
attitude and I think he brings to the
I
clubhouse.
can name you 10
sometimes.
guys off the top of my head right now who are jobless that are better leaders than Aaron Boone is.
I do question. I agree with you the leadership because I think a lot of times like when they go on a ton of like long losing streaks, the messaging is always we're right there, or we're gonna turn it around, or something's right there, and I think that's an issue. You bring up leadership. I think sometimes that might be an issue.
And it was bleak. 3-0 is bleak in the World Series. It's no one's ever done it in the World Series. But when it was happening, Tucker, and you can't even disagree with this, in your head you weren't like Boone's getting the troops ready in the locker room, right?
So
He's
when
got
they-
them
when they
amped
showed
up.
The Red Sox
Yeah,
documentary.
yeah.
in
You know, let's
2022.
show him us getting stomped. Like that'll work. Like no, I just knew that
It was over.
Yeah.
I wasn't even thinking about Aaron Boone. when
I-
we were
that
down
was the only
3-0
thing
in
I
the
was
World
thinking.
Series.
I was just thinking about Juan
How do
Soto
you, like-
leaving.
Because I was thinking about the leadership. What does the leadership do? in
I wasn't, but I
situation?
wasn't
'Cause
thinking
there was
about
adversity.
I wasn't thinking about leadership within like.
And
the
I love this
players, 'cause, like this is Major League Baseball.
Right.
This isn't the NCAA.
Right.
These aren't leaders of men that are the coaches. These are managers of a baseball team. I'm not looking for a coach prime leadership role out of my manager.
I don't think I'm saying that though.
I'm kind of looking for an Aaron Boone.
And for the record, Dave Roberts, very good leader.
I'll concede this. Aaron Boone's
Makes a lot of
you
bad
made the
decisions.
MLB like in the room like where he when he tells a player from the minor leagues that they made the majors, one of the most awkward interactions that you will find on any social media.
Right, and
See,
that-
the
it's actually
players love- the
ridiculous.
players
And that's
love
to
it.
his nature. But like, even just to make a point, 2016 Cubs, without John Madden's leadership, that still happens. I don't think so.
I think that team
Let's call
also
him
had
John
so-
Madden, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Madden.
They had a lot of leaders in that clubhouse too, though.
But you know what I'm saying. You go back, even Girardi in 2009, he's wearing the 27 on his back. You think if that kind of leadership wasn't there, that they just win?
I hear what you're saying, but down 3-0 in the World Series.
And I said
let's
that.
win. Like
I said
guys,
that.
if we want to win, coach says it's on us.
It's bleak.
That's not like no. It has to be.
It's-
It has to
yeah.
come from the players.
It doesn't.
It
No.
does.
Nope.
Down 3-0 in the World Series. Aaron Boone is not
Doesn't
like
have to.
not like okay. So your 1 in a million diamond in a rough manager is going to be able to bring his team from the depths of a 3-0 deficit in the World Series.
No, but I want to at least.
But it's got to be the players.
I want to at least instill hope in that there's a possibility. Not to say, because even to your point, like they're gonna lose. It's down 3-0.
Yeah.
They're going to lose.
Aaron Boone.
It's the attitude in which they lost that just pissed me off.
Aaron Boone hoisting the commissioner's trophy is going to be one of the most
Oh my God.
one of the most fulfilling experiences of my life.
So you think this year they can win the World Series?
Why not?
I think so too. It's
They went
the
to
way
the World
he's framing
Series.
it. I don't like it.
The way
With
I
Manfred standing next to him, that whole picture, I'm not really enjoying.
Oh God, no! Not with Manfred in frame. He's going to be out of frame by then. He'll have fallen off the stage.
His trophy.
The way I look,
It's the
look at
commissioner's
this,
trophy, not
He's the
Manfred.
commissioner.
Not Manfred's trophy.
He'll be right there next to him. But
Not
the
my
way I look at
commish.
this season is, I don't know. I just like, I don't see. I think they'll be just as good as of a regular season team.
They're winning the
win
division.
around 95. I think they'll win the division. I think they have a chance to get back to the ALCS. I just don't see how this team is better in the postseason with how Aaron Judge performed in the playoffs. If you look at the playoffs, who got them to the playoffs? It was Juan Soto, Gleyber Torres, and Giancarlo
That's the thing,
Stanton.
it's the playoffs,
and
though.
Gleyber Torres is gone. Juan Soto's gone. Giancarlo Stanton has no elbows or hamstrings or calves.
So it's going to have to be
two
somebody
guys,
else.
Two guys on that starting 9 couldn't make a roster right now. What's your point?
Need
My
Judge
point.
to.
My point is once they get to the playoffs, is I don't think their ceiling is winning a World Series because of the guys that really got them through that playoffs.
What's their
are
ceiling
gone.
then?
I think they can get there. I don't think they can win it.
Okay.
I don't think they're better than any of the NL.
I think they're
How
just
about this? It'll depend on who they play because if the Dodgers go back to the World Series, they are winning that again.
But do you think there's
don't
anyone in the
agree.
NL that the Yankees
no.
on paper are better than?
Yes, everybody.
No, I'm sorry. In the contenders.
of the
there's not
contenders
one
in the
team.
National League?
Dodgers, Padres, Mets, Braves.
In the AL, they should
Better than
steamroll
AL in
everybody.
the AL, they should be in the World. They should make the World Series.
I think
with
the
this
Yankees
team,
can beat the
but
Braves.
The Dodgers
I think
are the only
Yankees
team
can
where I'm
probably
like-
beat the Padres. The Dodgers are really the only team I'm scared of.
The Dodgers are the only team I'd going into a
the
series. I'd be like the Yankees are the second best team.
Maybe the Phillies.
No.
As of not the Phillies. As of right now, though, like, I mean, Judge's gonna have to show up in the playoffs. This is
Yeah.
gonna be he's gonna have to.
But
show
that's the
up.
beauty of the playoffs. It's like forget about everything that's happened
he's never
in
done
any
that.
other. But it doesn't matter.
And
Like,
as
he'll
someone-
just have to eventually. After his first at bat, I said this after the postseason last year, and now I'm here saying it again. After that first strikeout, his first at bat of the playoffs last year, his head was completely out of it. He took himself entirely out of the postseason, and then proceeded to just kind of have a completely pedestrian time in October. And it was built off of that initial strikeout. So he just needs a base hit. He needs to lead off the postseason with a base hit. It doesn't even need to be a home run. Just find some grass, and then
But I think it's
the mental side is
I think it's a
fine.
consistency thing because it's even like the mind. Like you'll have all Yankee Stadium getting up and cheering for him, and it's like it doesn't. It's just.
Has not made
It
made
just-
a difference yet.
I haven't seen him hit higher than 200 in the playoffs.
They
I don't
also-
think ever.
They don't really have a third.
And he's a
baseman.
consistent
They
hitter.
don't have a third baseman also, really, right now.
Yeah, well, let's get to that in a second, but I want to stay on this Judge thing for a second. Similar to the last captain with Jeter, he had so much success right at the beginning of his playoff career. He built a very esteemed reputation very quickly. In the same vein, in the negative way, on the opposite side of the spectrum, you can build a reputation very quickly as a guy who's very good in the regular season, who just his
Doesn't-
powers get zapped away.
That was
like
A-Rod's
that was
conversation all the way until 2009.
and that's still the conversation around Barry Bonds for the
exactly
most part.
until 2009. So like
I
the
don't know,
year that they
Judge
win,
needs to have a
like the
year.
year that they win the World Series is
wouldn't-
the year that Judge
and I-
clicks in the playoffs.
And I disagree with that. So you're just yelling at him right now. You're not yelling at me because 1 year does not. First of all, mistake all the years before that of A-Rod being terrible and just being the worst. But then after that, also really didn't do anything. So and he was cheating in 2009 too. If I'm just gonna
you're an A-Rod
if I'm
hater.
big hater, yeah,
Wow.
big
I'm not
A-Rod
really a
hater.
big A-Rod guy.
Wow.
I was in
I'm
the-
a big A-Rod. I'm a big A-Rod.
Like I grew
guy.
up with A-Rod, but like my favorite player is Jeter.
My favorite player was A-Rod growing up, and I just grew. I
I'm
grew up. I finally
I'm a
grew up.
Big A-Rod guy.
I finally grew up, and I was in the committee booing him at Big East tournament. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, just to have that on camera. But
Big A-Rod guy. Big
I
A-Rod
d-
defender forever.
what I'm saying is that it's going to be consistent playoff success for Judge. It has to start as soon as he can possibly let it start.
Let's get it started.
And
This
this
postseason.
season, this is the year that he's going to have consistent success, and that's kind of where I want to just talk about as we're going to wrap up here. Expectations on this Yankee season. We didn't bring up the guy, the Voldemort of this situation, Juan Soto in Queens. It's a massive loss for this Yankee team. He's one of my favorite Yankee players to ever watch in an at bat. Just it's just electric. I saw him hit a ball in the second terrace in right field in the beginning of the season against Pittsburgh. It was electric.
Right? Was one of your favorite
Was.
Yankees to watch?
Yeah,
I hate
no,
him,
well,
but I
as a
also
Yankee,
love him.
he's great. That's not even the same person after he signed that Met contract.
Scumbag.
With that said, I remember where I was when the home run was hit in Cleveland. Like I'll never.
Yeah.
He's
I was
not
a
great.
Tucker.
He's not great enough. He doesn't have enough power to take away how great that moment was for me.
See,
he doesn't have that.
I can't
He doesn't
watch-
have enough that power.
I
With that
can't
said,
watch any of those playoff games.
With that
on highlights
said,
anymore.
he's dead to me. He's the only player I've ever seen get booed at a home game in spring training. That's impressive.
A lot of Yankee fans travel well.
And as I said, when it came out, he underestimated how much hate he was going to get in the city.
I
He
think so, too.
seriously underestimated it.
This
So-
Subway Series is going to be violent.
And May
Like-
15th, right? It's like the second week of May.
15,
think so.
16,
With
17.
that all said, I think this team can win the World Series. I think they have all the attributes to win the World Series, and if things even slightly go their way, they can win the World Series this year. I'm going to hand it off.
Max Fried is an ace.
I'm going to hand it off to Tucker. Tucker, what do you think?
World Series.
Win.
I said it earlier
Win.
in the show. I think they can win the World Series because they went last year. Yes, they lose all of the production, basically all of the production from last season, but you look at this roster, it's
With this said, I've said this 5 times since 2017 as as
yeah, exactly. I pretty much say this
is the
every
first
single
year.
year.
My fingers are feeling pretty light.
I say this
Pretty light.
I say it every single year without fail. But that being said, I do honestly think that this team will have an excellent year. I'm expecting over 100 wins. I said 102 in my head 2 days ago.
I'll go 110.
110.
What?
We're just
Wow.
like, best Yankee regular season we've seen in a long time.
So I'm going 102, a respectful 102. But
So
I
they're going to
think
win a lot of regular
look,
season games.
this dude, we didn't even talk about him once. I don't know how he didn't come up. Anthony Volpe.
Yeah.
He's
He also
looked
needs-
so
he
good
needs
this spring. He
to
got bigger.
improve a
His
lot.
but that's coming. This is year 3
Relax
of
over
Anthony Volpe now. I think he's on for another Gold Glove.
I'll be
Because why
wearing-
not?
I'll be there as a spectator on
And
Saturday.
dude, he
I'll be
put
wearing my
on
number
weight.
11.
He put on weight and he put on muscle, and he looks bigger. His swing is flatter, and he's been hitting him out of the yard in spring training like business as usual.
Judge is the face of the Yankees. The face of our generation's Yankee fandom is Anthony Volpe.
Anthony Volpe,
1,000%.
100%.
Especially after the Grand Slam in the World Series.
Oh,
With
yeah,
that all
come
said,
on.
wins and ceiling, because you already kind of gave your ceiling. Give your wins.
I think I'll give it a little rate. I think between 90, 93, and 97. I think they'll be sitting mid-90s, which I think is enough to win the division. Something has to be done at the trade deadline. They don't have a third baseman. Right, as of right now, Oswaldo Cabrera cannot be a year-long third baseman. DJ LeMahieu.
What about calling Chicago, being like, hey, you got that guy from Houston during the winter meetings, right? That guy available? You guys aren't really winning a lot of games down there.
Tucker? Send him to, yeah, I mean,
That'd be fun.
I think
Yeah, if Dominguez goes back down to AAA, yeah, I'd entertain Kyle
that
Tucker.
the ceiling of this team is going to be on the young guys. Wells, very excited for him. I think he's going to have
yeah.
a massive year.
Catcher production would be huge.
Yeah,
as
catcher
well.
production, which they didn't have for the
I'm gonna be
first
interested to see
3/4
if
of
they
the season.
slide Ben Rice in at catcher on days
They
when
should.
they don't when
The
they want to
thing is,
give
now they have
Austin Wells a
three,
rest.
3 lefty catchers.
Yeah,
True, they
totally.
also have that kid, the
That's-
Uber driver,
Yeah, they don't have a righty to platoon with, which I think is interesting for them.
JC
But
Escara.
I think getting the $27 million back that they get for the Cole contract, they'll use that at the trade deadline. But I think it's gonna be important to get a third baseman. So I think
Wins?
we'll sit around
95?
93 to 97.
Yeah, can we take a moment to realize that we just made like a combined floor for the Yankees above 90 wins?
Yeah, I mean, I think that has to be the expectation.
There can't be. This
We all
team
think
can't
they're
have
going to win the
190 wins.
division, and it's going to take around 95 to win the division. Because the Orioles,
Yeah.
I think, got worse. Red Sox got a lot better.
To
but
think this team's going to lose, how many games do they have to lose to have less than
This
90
team
wins?
is at the start of the season.
lot of losses.
At least for the start of the season, this team is.
Did you just say that?
Wow, that's
We're,
not a math guy.
You need a nap.
we're
Not a
missing
math
missing
guy.
the AL Rookie of the Year, missing the AL Cy Young, and we're still saying that this team can win the World Series. Because once they get that Rookie of the Year back, Luis Gil is
and
going
Clark
to
Schmidt getting
So
him
many,
back.
slide into that
so many
rotation nice and easy.
themes just so much stuff, negative and positive. This Yankee team has the ceiling as high as any other Yankee team, and has the consequences as big as any other Yankee team in the past.
Come on, Booney.
We're excited. We're all rooting for Boone. We're all
Come on,
rooting for
Booney.
Boone to do good.
Booney, show me
we
something.
all want this team and Aaron Boone to do well. We're excited to cover all the negatives, positives, the ebbs, the flows of this Yankee season. It's going to be an absolute ride. I feel like it's an absolute privilege to be on the New York Yankees beat along with Owen and Tucker, I'm sure. And yeah, for now, the preseason preview will have you covered on Thursday. Me and Owen will be there, as Tucker said. Tucker will be there on Sunday, maybe Saturday as well. And we'll have you covered for the full Yankee season with WFUV Sports. Thank you for listening, guys. And yeah, we'll have you with your full season covered. And yeah, see you later.
Follow us on Twitter.